Welcome to What the Fuck Did I Just Read? The Tech, Sales, and Marketing Edition. This is going to be a blast.
This isn't just a podcast to have a conversation. This is a podcast to affect change.
It's kind of our outlet for therapy, to just let it rip. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Read? Tech, Sales, and Marketing Edition. I am your co-host, Danny Wolf.
And I'm the willing cohort, Chris Roberts.
Good morning, Mr. Roberts.
I got my hoodie on. I got a custom, like not even just custom. This is like tailor. This is a tailored hoodie. I didn't know you could actually get such a thing until my tailor turned around to me and said, very, very nice. He's like, I love your hoodies, but they suck. And so he's like, I'm going to get you a tailored hoodie. So it's actually like a custom fitted one. So I'm actually very, very happy about it. Custom. Yeah, like fully custom fitted, all that kind of good stupidity.
Well,
so,
yeah, you got before we hopped on, you got all dressed up for today. So that's
I did. I had my scruffy stuff on, which I'm fine with. I haven't even brushed my teeth this morning. The nice thing about doing this early in the morning is I can roll out of my bedroom, which is behind this wall, roll into here, and I didn't actually make it to go brush my teeth over there. So
no judgment. That's totally fine.
It's early. It's early.
Yeah, it's early somewhere.
Exactly. And I don't think I'm going into the office today. I'm going to be working remote.
Nice. I started a little off topic before we get into, housekeeping and all the good stuff. I started going into a community workspace because I need to get out, like just clear the head. Working in one spot sometimes clouds your creative juices in the brain. So it's been working really well, actually. And it's a nice drive on the way there. Let's just say that much. That's my special moment where I get to just drive the car on the side streets, get into my little nook and work.
That's like biking last night. I got back. I was out and about on a trip out east, and I got back in Monday evening, and so picked up the bike yesterday. I managed to break the bike. So they gracefully they repaired the thing while I was away. Picked it up yesterday afternoon. They put carbon fiber wheels on it as well, bless their cotton socks. So they're like, hey, give these a try and test them. I'm like, so I took it out for an hour and a half last night, which was really, really nice. Just got out and spanned about 20 miles or so, which was nice.
Nice. How was the trip? You did quite a bit of travel.
Yeah, did stuff. I got to see a very, very, very dear friend and hang out with her for a while, which was very necessary, and did some other stuff. It was good. It was busy, and then it was nice getting back. Milo, I came back and picked up Milo, and he was like,
okay.
Spins.
Speaking of excited doggies, for some of you who listen to the show know that I have a new puppy who, by the way, side note, is turning into a tiny terrorist. But when she gets excited, and I love this about dogs, you know how they do the side butt thing because they get excited and they go side like this?
Yep.
That's what she does, and I love it. Anyway, okay, let's get into it. Some housekeeping rules. No rules. Let it rip. Just kidding. No.
Done.
Yes. If you have any messages that you want to validate, folks, please let us know. We will bring you on. Okay. We want this to be a collaborative session. We're trying out some new things all the time. People have been quite silent in the last month. I feel like we haven't had a lot of guests coming on live. So we want you to come on live and pitch on the pod, which is something that we want to try. Test your message, ask us questions, drop your questions in the comment. If you're too shy to come on, we will bring you on and address those questions as well. Any other rules? No rules. Let's get into it.
Housekeeping. One quick housekeeping note. Maria Graham, 9-year anniversary today.
Yes.
Happy anniversary to Maria.
Happy anniversary to Maria.
And family. So
yes.
Yeah, shout out there, definitely.
Wonderful. We
All
have a
right.
lot to cover today. Chris, you want to talk about something quite special that you just posted about? Give me the backstory.
Yeah, I this is one of those things where uh, and the post I think says it all, but I'm going to recap. There's been it's something I've had to learn in life. And very simply put, it's called disagree and commit. It's kind of a work philosophy, and it's something. And somebody actually posted about just general human life as well. But for me, I've always looked at it as a work thing. It's you bring together some amazing minds. You're all trying to charge off in generally the same direction. But like anything, you're never always going to agree all the time. What color is the cafeteria going to get painted? Red, blue, pink, yellow, orange, rainbow, purple, white, black. Yeah, I mean, stupid shit like that you can't agree on, let alone maybe some directional conversations when it comes to deal with a business, or some conversations when it comes to naming conventions, system conventions, and stuff like this. So there's one part of me which always wants consensus, that always wants people to agree. I think it's that the protector side of me, and also that one that just that communicate, collaborate, cooperate stuff. You always want people to try to agree, but that shit just isn't going to happen all the time. And I've run into another couple of circumstances in the last couple of weeks which have kind of like brought it right back up to the forefront. And it's
Mhm.
that ability to disagree and commit. And I found myself in a meeting last week, and about halfway through the meeting, and I was actually was going to get up and walk out because I was just getting ridiculously frustrated with the fact this was the nth meeting about the same subject, and we're spinning our wheels on it. And in the end, they came up with a cockamamie set of settings, and I'm like, all right, let's just move. Well, are you okay with this? I'm like, no, I'm absolutely not okay with this. I mean, it absolutely fucking sucks. You brought somebody in with so many years of experience, and you pretty much ignored them. But let's commit and fucking move on. And then it was like another 20 minutes, half an hour of conversation around trying to make Chris happy. And I'm like, you won't make me happy. You've made a decision. Move the fuck on. I will commit. I will deal with it. But and I think it's one of those weird things, and I'm seeing it as well with some folks I'm working with. It's the same kind of challenge. It's you when I'm asking somebody to do something, more often than not, there's a logical reason for it. I'm happy to debate it. I'm happy to have a conversation about it. But sometimes, as nice time put it, get your fucking head down and get your shit done.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily need you to agree with me. I don't necessarily have to be your friend, but I need you to maybe disagree, but still commit and get it done. What I've been finding is I'm getting the nod up front, and then behind the scenes, I'm getting a knife in my back, or worse still, shit just isn't getting done. They're going off and doing things they shouldn't do. So it's really, really, really frustrating when you see that. And I see that when it comes to the business side of things as well. Um, and that's frustrating. It's when we have conversations with others in our community, when we have conversations with sales and marketing and business people, when I turn around and I put my point of view up, and I'm like, either this is what I'm after, this is what I'm looking for, I disagree, but let's get on with it. And people can't necessarily understand that message. I'm actually going to counteract something that Ali said. Ali said that's a let it fail and end up doing what I said situation. The problem is with that is you end up with more butt hurt, you end up with problems, you end up actually causing more harm to the organization. Yes, you get the opportunity to go, I told you so. The problem with that is it causes more harm. And unfortunately, in the end, it ends up with this whole damn commit cycle just going all over the fucking place. So I get where you're going, and believe me, there have been times I'm like, I disagree, but I will commit. And there have been times I've had to bite my tongue and gone, I fucking told you so. But there have been times when I've disagreed, committed, we've moved forward. I'm like, all right, this worked, got it. Let's just keep going. I still don't agree with it, but let's keep going. Um,
Do you see this as something that occurs on a regular basis among your colleagues as well, or is it kind of part of the part of the job or part of the industry? Or
I think it's part of the job and it's part of the industry. I was very calm in them for once. For me, I was very calm in the meeting when I expressed my concern. I basically said, look, you've brought somebody into a conversation that has 40 years of tech industry, 20 years of senior industry, and God knows how many years of bumps and bruises in this industry, and you ask their opinion. You ask their opinion about something that they actually helped design for the government and for industry as a whole. You have decided you don't want to follow this methodology, and you ask me to be comfortable with that. I won't be comfortable with that. I will not agree to that. But if that is the direction and the philosophy and the way that you want to do it, as long as you can explain it to everybody inside and outside, I'm going to disagree, but let's move on. And I've run into that a number of times, especially when it comes to business. I mean, again, think about it this way. As a CISO, my job, my fundamental role for being here is to protect. Now, a business's fundamental role is, to make money. And so those two don't always coexist very well. Now, when it comes to protecting people's data and identity, most of the time companies and leadership are aligned in the CISO, not always, unfortunately. But when it comes to maybe the level of effort, the level of protection, the level of investment, the level of resources, more often than not, that is where you will see the challenges. And I think as a CISO, it definitely is one of those when you are at any of those conversations with business folks, you might not necessarily agree with their viewpoints or their philosophies, but at the very least you can do is actually, back to that, you disagree, you express the concerns, but you still commit to move on because it's for the good of the company. And if you can't, get the fuck out of there.
Are there steps that can be taken to alleviate some of the disagree and move on and move towards a more proactive, collaborative approach? Like, what do you think needs to happen?
Collaboration typically means consensus. Typically also
Yeah.
means you're going to spend 16 meetings trying to make everybody happy that you've painted the cafeteria bright pink. The companies, I mean, so perfect example, ran into this very briefly yesterday. This coming weekend, where Boom is hosting 40 or 50 kids. We have this freaking amazing thing. Erica and the people team, I've put a really, really cool thing on, and we got a whole bunch of kids coming in from something called Shades of Blue. And so I thought it'd be absolutely cool because we all obviously have identity badges now. So I thought it'd be really cool to have an identity badge in a shade of blue. Thought it'd be awesome. Thought it'd be totally cool. Took it out, and the marketing people were like, "You can't do that. It's not our core colors." Who gives a shit? Was my initial reaction. Like, who cares? Because it's not on brand, they obviously had a concern with it, and in some ways, legitimately so. And it's one of those where I'm like, don't agree with it, but I understand it, and therefore let's just go. So we're printing out cool, like regular black and white badges with some other kind of funky stuff on it. Very, very simple way of looking at it, but very, very much one of those things where if I'd had my druthers, they would have been shades of blue, there would have been fun stuff on them. So I disagreed, but I don't care that much. Therefore, let's commit and let's just move on and let's make a decision. And therefore, now today we're printing out black and white ones with all sorts of color stuff on it. So I definitely think it behooves us to take that step back and go, how much do I really care about this? How much am I willing to? Consensus on that might never have occurred. I might have always wanted to have blue, whatever else it is. And I'm also not willing to invest the time to argue my point and my cause. There's other things. So I think it's one, you got to pick your battles. Secondly, you aren't going to get consensus, and I don't want consensus. I bring people into the organization who deliberately challenge. I mean, I love Tara, who works at Boom. She challenges me, and same thing with Brad and some of the other team. I love the fact they challenge, but it's challenging in a way that is respectful. It's each of us challenging each other, and it's also being able to go, you know what? Can't say I agree, but let's get on with it and see what happens. And it's that see what happens isn't a haha, I'm going to wait for a fail. It's like, hey, let's get on with it because I might have my eyes open in a different way I didn't expect. What did Kirsten say? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, Kirsten just hit the nail on the fucking head. And don't worry about it, Kirsten. I know it's not meant as a criticism. I absolutely totally agree with it. Yeah, she fucking nail on the head. You're asking for a level of adulthood and emotional maturity that may be too much for some people. Oi, Did you hit that nail on the head? Oh my gosh. Oof.
That's a nice segue to the next question, which is, well, it's a comment slash assumption, but maybe not assumption, observation. There are a lot of egos in the room.
Hello.
There are a lot of egos in the room. No, but that's okay to have an ego in the
Yeah.
room if you can address things properly. All right. So
Yeah.
what do you think needs to be done to move more CISOs, security practitioners, towards a healthier approach, and agree to disagree and move on approach in this industry? Because essentially this is a call for CISOs to
Oh,
start making some change.
I think it is. This is a huge call for CISOs, and it's several different things. I think from a CISO standpoint, it is. We have, let's face it, traditionally CISOs have always, not just CISOs, security practitioners have always, and this is generalizing, so I'm on thin ice a little bit on this one. We've always kind of walked into the room going, haha, we have all the answers. We're the smartest people, despite the fact behind the scenes we're making shit up as we go along. We've always typically walked into the room as those special snowflakes. And to me, that has to stop. It absolutely must stop. As a CISO, I kind of have two jobs. One, as somebody pointed it in here, which is to protect. But the second job is to make sure the business still wakes up tomorrow morning. And the business waking up tomorrow morning isn't making sure adversaries and criminals don't get in. It's making sure that the finance channels are clear to run. It's making sure the manufacturing is working. It's making sure that I support the leadership in their decisions and how they go forward. It's making sure that I support every single person in that organization to be able to do the freaking job that they need to be able to, should be able to, and can do effectively and efficiently. It's working with the IT team to make sure that the tech that they're rolling out works as best as it can. It's working with the development team. It's working with all these other teams, and it's working with. It's not telling them what to do. It's not helping them get my job done. It's not, there's that difference between I'm talking to you versus we are talking together. I'm talking with you. Talking to you means you're going to do what I want you to do, or else, is that mentality. Those that are talking with you is we're either going to figure shit out or we're not, but we will reach a way forward, and then we'll commit and get on with it. And it's tough. And as Jed said, the C-suite's got to buy in, and sometimes that's tough as well. That also means, unfortunately, the CISO sometimes got to kick a few doors down. It also means sometimes the CISO's got to eat a little bit of humble pie, and that ain't too easy and doesn't taste very good sometimes, but sometimes it's got to happen. Or you do get to a point in some organizations where you have to take a step back and go, why am I here?
Do you in your career, you've been
Yeah.
protecting, the world for a long time in this
Yeah.
industry, both physically and also behind the keyboard. Have you seen that this has improved over time? That there's more kind of acceptance to go towards this approach, communication skills, CISO buy-in?
I think it's getting better. I think it's getting better because we are stepping up a little bit more. When we go to have conversations with the business, they're not geek level conversations. They are,
Mm-hmm.
there's some level of tech in there. There's the conversation about probability, risk, and all the other stuff in there. But there's also a very much more so business savvy set of conversations happening. This comes back to the vendor space and everything else. I'm not going to buy because it looks shiny. I'm going to buy because it's strategic, not just for what I want, but for how I see the business going forward. Boom's a perfect example of that at the moment. I could just go straight back out tomorrow and go buy the same IDS, IPS, DLP firewalls and hit systems that I have in one box. I'm not going to do that. I'm taking a step back and I'm looking at a couple of the other vendors that are out there, and I'm going, who gives me a more comprehensive solution for both my physical and my digital integration, my badge, my identity readers? Because as Boom grows, I need to understand what I need to understand. And this has been a fantastic conversation with the finance department and, say, the engineering department. As we're building an airplane, people move. And as they move, they hit different charge centers. As they hit different charge centers in different airplanes, I don't need them filling out 20 different timesheets. can I build a security product that also enables them to work seamlessly within their environments? And as they move, a geofence system type environment moves them into a different piece of that timesheet, a different charging account, a different system. As they walk towards a computer, it goes, oh, you're on station 2 with that airplane, and we're building that airplane for, one of the, United, and that one's for American, therefore different charge, different cost, different accounting. So that I'm not just building something for me, I'm building something that helps the finance people, helps accounting, helps the corporate people, helps the commercial people, helps the engineering. And by the way, I put a fall detector in that. Now I've got people in safety involved as well. But it's having that mindset to be able to do that. And that is definitely one of those where that takes work, and it takes collaboration, and it takes communication. And as the folks on here are talking about, it takes me stepping outside of my CISO role and going, how can I best help the business succeed? So I think there's more of those conversations occurring, and there's more of that. We're seeing more and more of that, which also in turn means when a vendor hits me up and goes, hey, I got this widget to buy, I'm not just looking at that widget as a tool I would use, or the IT team. I'm looking at it as, how does it fit in strategically to the entire organization? I don't give a shit about just my ROI and my ability to defend it. I need to look at how it fits into the organization as a whole. How does it actually help the company? Not just security, not just protection, but the company as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's definitely one of those ones where you still see too many cybersecurity companies are focused on appeasing just the CISO or appeasing just the technology. And so many of us have moved beyond that to a point where I care about the business, and my role as the CISO is only a portion of that. So I think our industry has got to step up more on that side of it.
How can those on the vendor side trying to sell to you better understand the business?
Research.
Big question.
Research and Google. I mean, and listening to stuff like this. I mean, we have literally laid out the red carpet about how the hell to get into my mind. I mean, let's face it. I got a little chastised by somebody the other week in our industry, who was like, "You put too much of yourself online." I'm like, "Okay, well, you can be attacked." I'm like, "You think I haven't already been attacked a number of times? I've got the physical and the digital scars to prove it." I'm like, but if I don't do that, how do things change? If I don't take a step back, and I don't actually try to affect change by putting myself out there and using myself almost as an example for both good and bad, how do we expect change? So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Maria asks a very nice question here. Let's say you have a scenario where the CISO is reporting up to the into another C level and is
Yeah.
trying to push for approval for a project, right? And the other C level is in disagreement. How can that person help you help them and come to an agreement and a path forward?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm running into that now. That was, when Charles was a boom, it was actually a ridiculously collaborative. We have such a fucking good working relationship. I can count on one hand, like, the peers I have worked with inside companies. Outside companies, different conversation. Inside companies, I can count on one hand the peers that I've worked with, or the bosses I have worked for, that I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed, and I've felt it's been collaborative. So when you end up in a relationship where, like, your superior doesn't necessarily agree, I think at that point in time you got to take a step back and go, why? Is it cost? Is it timing? Is it function? Is it importance? Is it what is not resonating? What part of the message isn't resonating? Is it conflicting? Perfect example again. Boom's a perfect example again. If I walk in there and say, "Hey, we need to buy this. We need to buy 100,000 of these for the company, otherwise, all hell will break loose." If I just go into the CFO with that, he's going to look at me and go, "You're fucking nuts." Because as a company, we're building airplanes. Why the fuck are we doing these things? If I go into him and say, "Hey, look, because in order for us to facilitate, the production facility, blah, 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 of the organization. We need to do this. And by the way, we need to buy them over a period of time. And his appreciation shows and his all that. If I go to him in words he understands, and I go to him and say, hey, yes, we're going to be buying these, which puts a burden on finance and it's an unexpected cost, which means, you know what, I'm going to slow roll a couple of other projects so that now you see a hump of money going out here, but these won't come in as much, so that it all evens out. If I go to him with that conversation, it is much more likely to be a listened to collaborative conversation. But if I just walk in and go, hey, I got to buy 100,000 of these, he's going to just tell me to fuck off. Conversely as well, if I go to the CEO and I take half an hour to explain why I need 100,000 of these, he's going to fall asleep in 25 minutes, or he's going to fall asleep in 5 minutes. But if I walk in and go, hey, you're heading out to go have a conversation with some people about blah, 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 blah. And in doing so, this is going to come up. I'm just going to tell you right now, the strategic, as Kirsten says, the strategic conversation that you're likely to have is, we need these. I'm already ahead of that. And I can do that in a 30-second elevator pitch. I'm going to get an attention, and then I might get the extra 5, 10, 15 minutes I need. So I think it's one of those, and Kirsten says it perfectly, which is strategic communications in action. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
We had someone on the podcast a while back saying, help me make my case for me.
Yeah.
So if it's that 30-second pitch, let's work together and make that pitch together.
Well, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, that's because, again, if I go tell my CFO, hey, I need to buy these widgets, my CFO is going to be like, oh, motherfucker, I'm going to have to go talk to the CEO and explain why I've got a variance in my financial budget. If I go to my CFO and go, hey, look, I got to buy 100,000 of these motherfuckers, but you know what? I'm going to slow roll this, and here's how it evens out. My CFO is like, I can sell that to the CEO because there's no variance, because we're slow rolling this, which means we'll have a risk issue here, but we're going to increase risk here. And that's a 30-second conversation. Great, go. I wish it was that simple. That's the philosophy. Yes, it takes more than 30 seconds, but that's the philosophy. It's, and somebody else said it. There it is. Alan said it perfectly. It's putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. It's that walk a mile. What is it? Walk a mile in somebody else's boots, shoes, high heels. Well, actually, fucking walk a mile in somebody else's high heels, motherfuckers. Yeah, that's the big one. All right, George.
George asks a great question here. As the CISO, I've recently seen reports, and from talking to other CISOs, there is a shift in the business. The businesses they represent towards integrated platform solutions versus discrete security point solutions. Do you agree as you continue to protect your organization?
I like that, and here's my hedged answer. So first, let's start with the easy one. The general consensus across probably all of us is there's too many fucking vendors out there. General consensus number 2, I don't need another bloody endpoint solution when there's 20 to choose from. If you don't like one of them and you want to develop something, go talk to one of them and work for them and develop theirs better. I don't need a 21st to choose from. Third one is, as the CISO, I can't be doing with buying 100 point solutions. I would rather buy, as I was alluding to earlier, a more consolidated platform. I mean, let's name names. You've got 2-3 heavyweights out there. You've got Cisco, Palo Alto, and Checkpoint, or the other heavyweights. If I look at each one and how they are consolidating their platforms into something that isn't just network firewall, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention, a bunch of other things, they are looking into the physical realms. They're looking into intelligence realms. They're looking into logging, monitoring realms. They're looking into building in intelligence in the cloud, in terrestrial. They know that they have to consolidate to survive. Not just consolidate, they know they have to aggregate more efficiently and effectively. That benefits me. But there's a caveat to that sometimes. If I need something that can do a memory level examination of a drive in near real time at any runtime kind of process, I'm not going to find that from Checkpoint, Palo, or Cisco. I'm going to find that from a niche player. So there are definitely still places for those niche, no two ways about it. Now the question becomes, one, do those niche players play with my consolidated platform? If they don't, then I have a problem. If they do, now I'm in good shape. I think there's also, and this brings up, Danny and I were talking behind the scenes. We have, there's a couple of really, really good mutual friends we have. Sivan is Sivan's running over like a Noxia, and I'm helping them out. Potentially there'll be something come out in the next week or so or whatever officially, but that sits like above the platform and gives me insights.
Mhm.
And so to me, there's definitely a space for something like that as well. In fact, there's a big fucking space for it because, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is I give the dog a hug, or if I've been kicked out of the bed at night, I get back into bed and glare at him. And the next thing I do, let's face it, most of us do is reach for our phone.
Mhm.
We reach for our phone to see what's going on in the world, what's going on in life, what's happening, stuff like that. So it's actually, I'm looking forward to that because to me, that is one of those conversations about how's the world looking, how's it going, what's going on, and where do I need to care about this morning. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that platform because I
That
think
sounds nifty.
it should be fun. To me, it's another one of those. I wouldn't call it niche. To me, it's that one ring to rule them all, because I'm not going to log into a fucking Palo Alto or into a Checkpoint or into an Intel platform or anything like that every single morning. What I want is I want my news digest, and I want it delivered to me in such a way that I can either breathe clearly in the morning, or I know I've got to get up, make a real quick cup of tea, and start jumping on some calls.
Mhm.
And so I like the idea of having a more effective platform that kind of brings all this together. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that one. I'm actually Sivan Tahila she's fucking amazing, and kind of looking forward to messing around with this one.
Very cool. We should have her on at some point
Ooh,
and talk
yeah,
about
yeah, right, bro.
what the project is, because it sounds like she's solving the problem of what the fuck did I just read to yay, I just read it. So we should get her on. We should
Oh
get her
god,
on.
her marketing department's going to cringe. I love it. It's going to be so much fun. I got this. I got the official press release, and it was an official press release. And I looked at it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't use words like that. So I sent back my version of the official. And I got this smiley crazy grin. She's like, yep. She's like that. That's there we go. So it was fun. Yeah, it was kind of so much fun. Yeah, again, I think it's that different mentality and that different mindset. There's times and places where you have these conversations, you agree, you disagree, all this kind of good stuff. It's kind of fun.
Love it. Well, congratulations on that. Looking forward to reading the press release.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's have more fun. Do we have any special?
Yeah,
Do we have more questions? I think we have. Let me
I have
see.
no
Let me
clue.
open
We've
my
got
chat.
lots of conversations. This is freaking awesome. The answer is
Yeah.
converged security. Yeah, interesting. Hang on, merch. Hang on. What merch are we going to do? You don't want to know the price of a custom fucking hoodie. Let's just leave it at that one, shall we?
But hoodies are the best. We really
I love
should
this
do
one.
merch.
Jacob would be very happy to get more. Oh, I'm I'm meant to be talking I'm meant to be keynoting a conference tomorrow, but they just screwed over a good friend of mine. So I just told them, get him fucking sorted out, or you can find yourself another keynote. So if I turn up at the keynote tomorrow morning, I will be wearing my new jacket. I have a snazzy new jacket. James put it up on LinkedIn. He asked if he could do. He put the snazzy new jacket. He put this up on LinkedIn. So yeah, snazzy new jacket, pair of civilized. I'm actually going to look civilized. I don't want to show my legs because they're a fucking mess at the moment, and my arms got cuts over it, so we'll avoid that one. Oh, the walk-in high heels. Ooh, I have not worn high heels in probably 20 years.
This is going to be the snippet of the show.
Yeah, it's probably been 20 years since I worn high heels.
Shall I ask?
No, don't. When I was there were other times as well. We would just come back off of deployment, so we were a little tense, shall you put it. And I'd worn them before that. I wore them out. I was in Atlanta for a while. There's a picture floating around somewhere with me, high heels and fishnets on. It ain't pretty. It's a little scary.
Right, I have homework to do. Where's my
Yeah,
pen?
yeah. But there was one
Some research to do.
we just come back off a deployment, and we were stationed in down the south of England, and that's all I'll say because I know people can do OSINT very well. and we were stationed down the south of England, I guess southwest, in a little old fishing village. And we actually went to Southampton to go see like Lost in Space. There's a different version of Lost in Space, and we all got dressed up. And I mean dressed up. There were a number of us, and I'll leave it as a number of us because again, I don't need people doing OSINT. There were a number of us that went into a number of dress shops and came out. You ever tried finding size 12 fucking high heels in the middle of Southampton? I don't think the shopkeeper will ever probably live through that whole experience. But yeah, a bunch of blurry, slightly scarred and blown up guys walk in and want to demand high heels, fishnets, and the accompanying equipment.
Oh,
and then we summarily end up going to this. It was almost like a Rocky Horror thing, but it wasn't Rocky Horror. It was like Escape from Mars or Return from Space or something like that. And I mean, we got dressed up and we went into this thing. We fucking unloaded. And then we went drunk and we were stumbling around Southampton. We stole. We climbed over a police car. Well, I mean, we'd had so much to fucking drink. We tried climbing over, and we ended up using it. In the UK, the police cars used to have this single blue light in the middle. So it was our climbing hold until it came off in our hands.
Well, it is hard to climb cars in fishnet because you slip.
And high heels. I God knows what damage we did to this poor thing.
This is fascinating color for the show. I appreciate this conversation so much. This is why I wake up very early in the morning to do these shows because there's always a good story.
Oh yeah, that was stress. You want to talk about stress relief? I mean, I go biking for stress relief now. That was stress relief back then.
We could always merch and brand high heels. Okay. Next question. Great question from Maria, Relationship Capital. So in recent months, she's been introduced to a lot of potential buyers by other folks in her network, but because they apparently have a need. Her question is, when I follow up with a warm intro, I don't get a response. How aggressive should I try to be in getting a response from those warm intros?
That's a tough one because I've sat in those shoes as well, especially like either at conferences or when somebody else has said, hey, so-and-so needs something. That's a tough one because, I mean, the first follow-up message is, it's like, hey, so-and-so referred me, look forward to having a conversation. I think the second one it probably needs to follow. I mean, you've almost sort of maybe given the way, especially if it's over the holiday period, which now everybody's back at school. But here's the thing: everybody's now back at school. All the kids are done. We've done all the holiday shit until next one is Thanksgiving. So you all have got 3 months. When's Thanksgiving in this black country? November, isn't it?
November.
What are we in?
Yeah, less than. So about 2.5 months.
You got 2.5 months. So now there's no real excuse. You got 2.5 months to get your heads down and get shit done. I think it's almost got to be that I've given 3 or 4, I no less than 2 or 3 days. Somebody hit me up the other day and they hit me up like 48 hours later. I'm like, yeah, it'll just piss me off. I got hit up on Friday and then hit up on Monday. I'm like, you do realize there's a weekend in the middle of this. So for me, I think it's one of those, it's at least within the week. I wouldn't give it any more than a week because then that gets lost in 10 other things they're trying to focus on a daily basis. But for me, I would follow up within 3 or 4 days. I keep it on the same medium as well. If it started on LinkedIn, I keep it on LinkedIn. If it started on email, I keep it on email. Telephone is a tough one. I wouldn't switch. I wouldn't go from email to then phoning them because that'll piss people off. I would also, if it came in as a warm lead from, say, me, perfect example, if like I turned around to Maria and said, hey, Danny's looking for something. Maria hits Danny up, doesn't hear anything, hits her up a week later, still doesn't hear anything. If it was me, I would go back to Chris and go, hey, do me a favor. Do you know if Danny's still looking for something? Is everything all right? Because that might also initiate a background conversation for me to Danny and go, hey, did Maria get hold of you? Everything all right? At which point, then maybe there's like a back-end feedback conversation.
We kind of had that yesterday, a little bit. We were talking to James.
Oh, yeah. That's a perfect example because I mean, James had hit me up on LinkedIn back in May. March or May. And he and I had gone back and forth. I looked at the conversation. He and I had gone back and forth and he chucked out a date. And I think and I know what had happened. I know exactly what had happened. He'd hit me up with a date. I'd probably gone to look at the calendar. I'd seen that there wasn't time. I probably wanted to go back and do something and say, hey, here's when time would work. I probably pulled up my calendar and then got fucking distracted. I get tons of messages on email on a daily on email and also on LinkedIn, and it probably just ended up getting filtered, and I just never got back to it.
Yeah.
And then you're right, Jane, he hit you up, and then you and I obviously have a bloody good relationship, for crying out loud. So you got hold of me, and then hey presto, we closed the circuit, and I apologize. It was through no fault of his own at all that I didn't respond. It was just simply squirrels happened. I think if he'd have hit me up like a week later and said, hey, is there time? Now, there's a caveat to that. I'm going to use this as a good excuse. Here's a caveat to this one. I'm actually going to go into my LinkedIn to my other. There we go. So this is a perfect one. There's somebody that's trying to get together and hook up with me. Wrong way of putting that. There's somebody trying to get together to meet with me. I like the idea, but the problem is I threw out a couple of dates, they didn't work. Threw out a couple of others. He's like, well, can we do this? Can we do that? And we're having conversations in the middle of it. And then it was like, okay, I think we try to agree on a date and a time. And then he was like, well, if that doesn't work, we can do Zoom. And I got to be honest, at this point, I just moved it to other. I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth to continue to try to fucking schedule this. I just didn't have the time. I didn't have the bandwidth, and I can't spend so much capital on trying to schedule something with somebody that quite honestly was more just it was more just a like a feedback session for their product. It wasn't something that I would look to actually even get down. I'm like, I don't have that I just don't have the mental bandwidth. So I think there's a couple of things in there. It's like, keep it on the same medium, keep it on the same sometime. Yeah, Ali, I wouldn't change mediums and I wouldn't send gifts. Most of us have no fucking sense of humor when we're dealing with business. That shit actually pisses me off. If you're gonna, there's a couple of people that do that, and I will be honest, a lot of us, if it's work, it's work. Keep it as work. Don't fuck around with it until you really know that person, like really fucking know that person. I wouldn't go down the gift route. I wouldn't really change medium, because now you're hounding me. If you hit me up on LinkedIn, feed pictures too.
Who said that? I can't see that. Hold on.
I
Oh my
don't know.
God, Justin.
LinkedIn user, whoever the hell that is, that's
Oh my
fucking
God.
awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
we're not deviating too far between feet pics, fishnet heels,
public
and
service announcement. Dick pics are never acceptable.
oh my God.
Yeah,
And this segment is the what the fuck moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God.
How about calendar links? If someone sends you a calendar link.
Oh, don't do that shit to me.
Why not?
Because again, it's I don't know. Okay, maybe this is just me. I don't. I would much rather just click the calendar open, try to stay focused, throw out 3 or 4 things, and hope that one of them sticks. I mean, that's why I have my Friday afternoons. My Friday afternoons are my vendor pitches. And at the moment, unfortunately, poor Steven is running into the fact that my Friday afternoons are screwed up until, I think that's what it was. I told him my Friday afternoons are screwed up until like mid-October. And he's like, well, let's do a Zoom. I'm like, and fuck off. That was a switch medium. If you can't wait for that amount of time, then I think I have a problem with the whole thing. Okay, hang on. What about after a warm intro, Chris calendar link to make it? Maybe. I think a calendar link. Okay, I mean that's fair. Yeah, that's. I think if it's a warm link and you've had a conversation, I think maybe, hey, look. Or actually, hey, you know what? Put the onus. Actually, here's a better way of putting it. Just ask them. Like, I mean, that's a perfect example with me. Like, hey, do you want me to send a calendar link, or have you got a couple of options in mind?
Yeah.
Leave it like that. That's a better way of doing it.
What I do, which works really well, and I always get booked on most of the time, booked through the calendar link, is I say I have time 1, 2, 3, 3 options in 3 different days, and then alternatively, you could just book through the Calendly link as the secondary option. And most click the link because then they don't like they read through it, but they just click the link to book because then they have other options to go through if it doesn't work. So
Yeah,
I
I think
I
it's
give them the option first based on my preference. If it doesn't work, Calendly.
yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it, and that's because I see that the problem is with the Calendly link. Again, it's a couple of extra steps.
Yeah.
Not only is it a couple of extra steps, then the stupid fucking thing is going to email me. Then if you've got your settings set, it's going to email me a day before. Then it's going to email 15 minutes before, which is 4 fucking messages in my inbox I don't want.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a problem with that one. I would my preference, if I have the time, is to quickly scan through my calendar and go, hey, I've got time here, here, and here. And if it's on the same Friday, that's great. If it's something different, I'll do that one. If I don't have time until middle of October, then I haven't got fucking time till the middle of October. And people just have to accept that one. I mean, it's life. It is what it is at this point, unless it's something urgent. If you send me a Calendly link, I think my request on the Calendly is I don't want a reminder a week before, a day before, 15 minutes before, because that needs to be taken out and shot. The other thing is on this one is a really interesting one. This is another thing the CISO needs to actually, I at least maybe one reminder, not 2 or 3 of them. I know with a couple of people, I've had one like, hey, your meeting is tomorrow, and then like, hey, your meeting is an hour, and like, hey, you should be on your meeting. Fuck off. That's all remind, and this is I think where in some ways I prefer at that point if it's at a warm link time, you have my email, or I'm just about to give you my email. And I've done that with a bunch of people. A bunch of people hit me up on LinkedIn and said, hey, and I'm like, hey, Friday afternoon this, and they're like, great, what's your email? Shoot it out there. Then I see one calendar invite and I'm done. It's one email I have to deal with, not 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah. And in general, those calendars give you the notifications at times. So
yeah, I mean, I set my calendar invite set to 1 hour beforehand.
Yeah.
Is my setting. That way I can prep. I know what I'm doing most of the time.
Oh God, singing telegrams for meeting reminders or the videos.
I will shoot you.
The videos with the
You
sign.
send me a singing
Hey, Chris.
telegram reminder. I have no qualms, and you can choose what caliber.
I find that creepy.
Itinerary is always one of those interesting ones because again, if we've discussed it, like Maria's point, if we've discussed what it is, I'm good with that. But if it is useful to have 2 or 3 things in the notes. If you're sending a calendar invite, send a couple of things we're talking about. Hey, per the conversation, here's 3 bullet points. You want to go through that.
Yeah.
From ally standpoint, I like that one.
But yeah, agenda. Yeah. Oh, so good.
Because
I like
again,
that.
And half hour. You get half an hour.
Yeah.
If we can't get through what we need to in 30 minutes, if you book an hour on my calendar, it will get declined. It's a 30-minute calendar invite. It might end up being more next time, or I might put you onto one of the team next time. But this first time around, it's a 30-minute conversation because that's all I got time for.
I love this. I like the tactical conversations. This is fun.
Well, I mean, and I love the questions. I mean, the questions are rough, but and the caveat is always, these are my opinions and my opinions only. They do not represent the opinions of every other CISO out there because some of them are good and some of them are fucking assholes.
This really is a rated R episode.
Oh God, it is. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to mark no, not for kids on YouTube.
No, you aren't. It's fine. There's only a couple of F words. Kids understand more of that language than most of us. Let's be honest.
Sadly, I had to explain to Kai that saying "oh shit" it's not proper. It's not proper, Kai. And I don't know where she. Well, she probably got it from me. I mean, in all honesty. Oh God, proud mommy moment.
Yeah, there we go. It feels like 15 minutes is a lie. 100% truth. Again, I think it's that. Can I have 15 minutes? No. Because we both know. Don't start the conversation off with a lie. Whoever said that one is absolutely right. I'm 100% correct on that one. Oh dear. Sorry, Maria.
Well, you know.
Oh my gosh. At least there's nothing worse than the odd F and bloody hellfire and damnation.
What's the worst gift you've received from a vendor? Is there a best as well?
All right, worst gift. Oh, that's a tough one. I think the worst. No, I mean, this problem is there's been some crazy shit over the years. Let's face it. Um, I think the worst presentation of a gift came fairly recently when the gift was wrapped in a box that was 10 times bigger than the gift itself, and we'll leave it at that one. Let's not do that. When the gift is the size of a, I was going to use it when the gift is this sized. Oh, by the way, this is my load. I love this book. This is so Mont Blanc do. I love their pens. That's one of their pens on top. They also do notebooks. I love writing on my notebooks. So I am still old fashioned. I will still take a ton of notes in my notebook. But this is the latest one I picked up on. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, so yeah, the gift arrived in something this size, and yet the box was, like those Amazon boxes where it's like one box of sweeties and 300 yards of wrapping. It kind of arrived a little bit like that. That was one of those frustrating gifts because there was too much waste. And as somebody who works for a company that is like heavy on the sustainability, and myself, I tried, says the guy that riding big vehicles and shit, tries to at least think about that stuff a lot. When I see that much waste, it drives me nutters. So there's so many worst gifts. I mean, I think anything that's just not going to be usable, that's going to sit on a shelf, is a worst gift, unfortunately. It just sucks. If it's usable, perfect example, mints. Mints are always usable. They're great. And let's face it, most geeks have a limited knowledge of hygiene at times.
Or they're just hungry like me.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Mints are good. I love writing materials. Those are always useful. USB drives are great for those of us that go back to the hotel room, payload them, and then give them out to everybody else and blame you. So don't do those. I mean, there's some useful stuff. There's a lot of us wear glasses. Glass cleaning, glass wipey things are always good. Easy stress balls are good because you can throw them at people. I think every one of us has got enough plastic bottles and metal containers, and we've left them all over the place. Those still can be useful. I have my water bottle of choice at the moment is my B-Sides Lancashire one. I still walk around with that one, although I left it at the office. So my other one is just one that I purchased. It's a good old Stanley water bottle. I don't like gifts of like, somebody's like, hey, we're going to send you a steak dinner. All you have to do, the steaks, the frozen steak shit. I don't like a gift where I have to then go out and register for the damn thing and download the damn thing and now I'm on their fucking shopping list too. You bastard! I'm on your fucking marketing list. You sent me to another company to send me steaks, which means I'm on their fucking list as well. Now I hate you twice as much. Rose tinted glasses. No, but I'll take ones with yellow tints because then I can shoot people.
Oh God, Chris! Oh gosh. And that has been an episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Read? Tech Sales and Marketing Edition.
Yeah.
We're almost out.
Actually, no, I think some of the who remembers the Snort Piggies, the old Snort? I think I still have some of mine floating, and Snort Piggies were always good. The worst gift that I think I ever remember seeing was Norse's helmet, just because it was so yeah. Jessica, you're awesome. Yeah, the pew pew maps from Norse, bless them. Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know what do we mean? Good gods, we've almost hit the top of the hour.
Yeah, we have time for one more question if someone has it. Alternatively, we can sign off with insights. Oh, okay. Maria. Oh wait, I don't know if she has a pew pew or she has a question.
Platforms we have to register. Yeah, a harvesting play the vendors. Those are terrible. Oh my gosh. All right, Maria says she's got one. Yeah, we're good. I do have I'm pretty sure I got a hard stop at the top of the hour. Famous last words.
Yeah, let's sign off. We're at the top of the hour. Let's sign off with one thing you want to impart on the audience today.
I think it goes back to that disagree and commit. It's such a huge subject because it doesn't just talk about like the vendor relationship, the conversation with the CISO, the business relationship, how we take it into our regular lives to sell. I think it's one of those things that we all need to be able to sometimes take a step back from what we consider our best purse interest, what we consider our hill, what we consider our stance on things, to be able to actually take that step back, look through somebody's eyes, put their glasses on, walk a mile in their high heels, whatever it necessarily takes to take yourself out of your perspective and shift it to somebody else. We need to practice that more. I think as an everyday human being, I think that would help humanity as a whole, but definitely inside our industry. So that would be try to practice the out of body experience a little more than maybe we all do.
Piggyback, I love that. Piggybacking off of that, understand seasons, times, life. Not everybody is going to be able to answer you right away. I mean, we just got off of some vacation here in the States. Also, people are back to school. Also, people are coming back from vacation, so they're inundated. They might not be getting around to you right now, but you have an ample enough time to get their attention correctly if you follow this podcast religiously. So, with that, this has been another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Read? Chris, this was an absolute
Loved it.
bonkers episode. I loved it.
Loved it. Yeah.
We're going to have interesting snippets from this show.
Yes. High heels and cuss words.
Yes. Love it. Thank you, everybody, for joining and for contributing to the discussion. Chris, you're awesome as always. Have a beautiful day, everybody. We are out.
Take care of you. Thanks, Danny. Stay safe, everybody.